whoever else wants to discuss and flesh out their strengths. So glad that you volunteered. Okay, Jody.
Sorry,
Hello.
I couldn't find the raising hand thing, so I just did it myself.
The real thing.
Yeah. In the chat with Nina and Ron, I initially said honesty, but I think now hearing you talk about it, I think my top superpower, whatever, I think it's curiosity actually, because when I chose what to study in college, I chose to study translation because I thought, well, I'll never be bored because I'll always be researching something, you know. So I'm not a translator anymore, unfortunately. I went through translation, tech writing, and now I'm morphing into visual storytelling. So what I really, really like to do nowadays is explainer videos, like the I'm just a bill, I'm only a bill. So I like to research the thing and really understand it, and then I like to think of a I don't know, delightful, fun way to explain it to other people that would get them engaged and maybe surprise them, but also help them learn more about it.
Yeah. So can you think about a specific example of when you were applying your curiosity strength?
I mean, it's usually just in research. Like I created a 6-video series, explainer videos, like little animated explainers about what our company's rewards package was, and you know how they come up with these things and how this or that is calculated. So in order to understand it, to be able to explain it, I had to research and find out, okay, well, how do you actually find this number, so that I had a whole list of the things I needed to know from the subject matter expert in order to clarify it for myself, and then be able to sort of plug in funny little comic characters and explain it back in a simpler way to the audience.
Okay.
So it's like mirroring it twice, right?
So if I'm hearing you correctly, your top strength is, or the one that we're talking about is curiosity. And when I hear you very excited is when you're talking about the process of diving into some kind of complex subject. And then you're constantly learning, you're kind of absorbing, and then you're kind of collecting information, digesting it. And then not only are you translating it, because you were used to doing translating services before, you're connecting, you're understanding, empathizing with the audience to make it relevant for them.
Yes. Okay. And hopefully a little bit entertaining and fun for them too, because I don't want to be the boring video person.
Okay, so entertainment and fun.
Yeah.
So let's go through our steps again. Taking a look at the 4 sources of meaning. Which one do you think you just described? And it could be more than one.
I think it's the you one, because I like the common thread of all or most of the jobs I've held is just explaining, or translating language to language, or like you were saying, translating the concept into a simpler way to explain it.
So you just described, making the most of your talents, making the most of your skills. Did anybody else hear anything? You can put it in the chat.
I heard connecting to your belief/philosophy, the way she wants to make it interesting for other people. That's a thought process basically, or a belief.
So
okay, could be.
So creativity.
Creativity, yeah.
So maybe an environment that allows for creativity, job design. So I would connect that to maybe there is mission. Maybe there's part of like companies that have a mission that is, how do we engage with customers? How do we make sure that this is not boring. And also, you know, job design. Are you given the freedom to have creative leeway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with all that. Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to stop my share. Let's see if there's anybody else. Okay, and let's switch over to the specific competencies. So I heard communicating and influencing. So a lot of what you were explaining is your ability to research a topic and make it digestible. So there's maybe two parts to it. One is your skill set for diving into complex subject matter. And then the second one is and communicating it. So persuasive communication, influencing others, being aware of the audience, understanding the audience, making an impact, maybe even customer orientation. You know, at the end of the day, you're centering your communication product there. And the research, let's see. It may be even entrepreneurial orientation. That you're like creating the video series. Did you come up with the format yourself?
Yeah, I suggested it and did the storyboards and proposed like the ideas. Yeah.
Okay. So what's resonating with you right
What do you mean?
now? Of the what we just talked about. Is any of it resonating in terms of?
I mean, communicating makes sense because that was when I created those videos, I was in a communications role. So that fits, as well as understanding the audience. I have a design thinking background. So I think, through that a little more empathetic with the audience. I'm not really designing for a specific person, but I guess I am designing to influence others, to get them, to change their attitude towards something, or at least, understand it, at least spend the 2 minutes and watch the video to understand it a bit better. So I guess that's a form of influence, but I'm not persuading them to, hey, vote this way. It's not quite like that.
So how is it different influencing from persuading?
I don't know. Persuading feels like you have a specific goal you want them to go toward, and influencing is just a nudge of like, hey, did you consider this?
Yeah.
I don't
Okay,
know
so
if that's how I'm perceiving it. That I'm not sure if that's how everybody defines those things.
okay, so it sounds to me that you feel a lot of empathy towards the audience. So in addition to empathizing with the audience to communicate better, you're also empathizing with them in terms of how they receive the content. And you're not just like, pushing them into a result, but you're nudging them.
Right. Well, and I feel like I'm the advocate for the audience, because when these things are designed, it's usually the, developers or whoever's the expert on the thing, and they want to have a script that would take 5 minutes to get through. And it's me saying, you know what, the audience is going to drop off after a minute if you're using these big long words and concepts that they're not familiar with. So we have to back up, explain a little bit first, and then get right to whatever you want to say in a minute and a half, which usually yields a 2-minute video.
It's basically the way I'm hearing that is basically you want it to be the audience to be engaged, not necessarily and engaged and interested in the conversation and still get it, rather than you kind of selling something to them. You're keeping them engaged basically, if that's the right
Yeah,
way
I
to.
don't know if I'm selling them anything. I do want them.
Right.
I want them to be interested enough to watch the
Yes.
video to the end. I don't know if that's like selling the video or
That
selling my services.
That's what I meant by keeping them engaged basically.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
And And Jody, it also sounds to me that you're very sort of invested in the audience receiving some benefit from what you're providing.
Yeah, that's true. I don't want them to feel like, oh, that's 2 minutes of my life I won't get back again. Because sometimes you watch videos and that's kind of what you think at the end. Why did I watch this? So, yeah.
So when you said you're advocating for the audience, I'm also hearing more strengths. So let's take a quick look and then. So in addition to your curiosity, right? I'm hearing love of learning, humor, with they're engaging, and maybe, well, creativity, somebody had put that in the chat, and maybe kindness, which is kind of like maybe an empathy, like a sense that you don't want people to lose 2 minutes of their time. You don't want to waste people's time. Okay, so what is coming up for you from all of this that we were sharing right now in terms of what you would find meaningful in the work and what your value add could be to an organization?
I would like to stick with doing something that creates clarity for someone and ideally involves visuals, because I like that. Like, I just find doing the visuals and the animation intrinsically rewarding. But considering all of I mean, I mentioned it to to Nina and Ron in my group, but I'm now looking or doing searches for roles in enablement and learning design, because I think that's where this kind of thing is needed, or it's maybe not called that in the same words I'm using, but it's something that people are looking for in those two areas, right?
Okay, so is there anything else that you'd like to talk about in this space?
There's lots, but I don't want to be the only one that gets the benefit, so I'll pass it to the next one.